Allison.
I just have a legal question. Counsel, if there is a permissive referendum, do we have to keep the public hearing portion open, or we close it?
Closed, and they have 30 days to submit anything that they would want to submit a petition if necessary, but public hearing will be closed after today.
Perfect, thank you.
Are there any other questions from the board? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion.
I'll make a motion to close this public hearing for this item and approve the transfer of this property.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Thank you very much, Allison. That includes our scheduled public hearings. We will now move to the public portion. Just to remind everybody, you have 3 minutes in which to make your remarks. It's not a question and answer, so you have the opportunity. You won't be interrupted. But again, just to remind everybody, this is not, a question and answer session. It's not a debate. It's your opportunity to come forward with your questions, your comments and concerns. We've instituted something that should make things a little bit easier, certainly for me not to have to fiddle with the timer here. But we used this at the public hearing over when we had 144 speakers, and it really helped expedite everything because those speaking actually know how much time they have so they can start working on wrapping up their remarks. So the camera, the monitor is right in front of the podium, so everyone should be able to see it. And we will start with our first speaker today, Jason Fenley.
Good afternoon. Jason Fenley, 30 Iroquois Drive, Bright Waters. I wanted to take a minute. Well, thank you to the board for the opportunity to speak. I wanted to take a few minutes and just talk about the issue that myself and a lot of residents of Bayshore and Brightwater are having with the parking meters. I know I've spoken to a few of you about this issue specifically, and ultimately the sentiment in Bayshore is that we're being picked on unfairly at the expense of the rest of the town of Islip. Bayshore now has meters in the marina, in the railroad, the downtown lots, both on Main Street and now recently in the back lots. So essentially, Bayshore, Brightwater's residents are paying unfairly where other downtowns in Islip are not. I'm a new business owner in Bayshore, I opened my own law firm there last year, and I'm feeling the impacts of that. My clients have to pay for it, I have to pay for it, I have to pay for my employees of that. And recently, the plan to expand the parking permit program further in the town of Islip has been stopped. So what I'm asking for is that the board reverse course. Rather than expand the program, let's reverse it. Let's stop taxing unfairly Bayshore residents when the rest of Islip are not. Moreover, the justification for the program has been parking management, specifically the influx of persons using the ferry during the summer months. If that is in fact true, then stop the parking during the off-season, the parking meters during the off-season months. That could certainly be more fair. If it's a parking management issue, then implement the program during the most needed times, in the summer months. People in Bayshore could certainly understand that better than a 12-year program when they feel they're being unfairly taxed at the expense of the rest of the town of Islip. Thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. Just a point of clarification. The program is not just in Bayshore. There is an overall plan for the town. But just so you understand, the Islip train station is scheduled for metering also. Okay, next speaker, Hector Gavia.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Hector Gavia, and I'm currently a candidate for Suffolk County Legislature in the 16th District, which includes 17 EDs in the town of Islip. I'm here today because I do oppose the Heartland Housing Project. And, it's really disingenuous. It's a lie when you tell people that they want high-density housing. What they want is high-paying jobs. So what's unsustainable is not home purchasing, but what's unsustainable will be trying to support these 9,000 families that are going to be coming in through the train stations from Bronx, Brooklyn, and Queens, because that's really what the plan is. And they're going to be low-income housing individuals who are going to be on Section 8, because we already see evidence of this throughout the town. There are hotels, that are filled to capacity with Section 8 individuals. And if you think that this is going to be a success, all you have to do is look at the Wyandanch Village. That's a failure. If you look, there's no jobs, there's no prospects for the future there. And where the businesses, that's something else too. You kind of have it backwards when you tell people that you're going to build low-income rental units and then the jobs are going to come. It really should be the other way around. We should try to attract businesses to come back here. At one time, we were an aerospace hub, and we provided high-paying jobs, and all those jobs have moved to other states. You know, the problem here is that we understand why the developers want to develop this property, because they do get tax benefits from the federal government, from the state, but you're really going to be hurting the people here. And you know, I just think that you really should reconsider it, and please don't vote for this, because I do believe that it's going to be the collapse of our economy, and I mean that sincerely, because instead of helping us, the taxpayers, you're helping a developer by giving them a tax haven, a tax shelter, and then we're going to have to support all these people coming in. I mean, you have people here that are opposed to parking meters, from what I understand, and increased taxes and increased fees, and that's only going to rise. It's only going to come up. You're going to have to come up with creative ways to help us support these new people that are coming in, and it's just not right. All right, have a great day.
Thank you, Hector. Kathy Lombardo. Mike McGillway is on deck.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Kathy Ann Lombardo. I live on 454 Manatuck Boulevard, Brightwaters, New York, and I'm here regarding the meters. I've lived in Brightwaters for 31 years, and I'm extremely proud of the community we've become. Many of you may not know, but 20 years ago, Bay Shore was nothing like it is now. In 1970s, they tried the meter program at that time, and it was a complete disaster. I've never felt the need to come to a meeting or voice a concern before, but I'm asking for your compassion and listening to the many, many citizens in Bay Shore Brightwaters that are really against these meters. I've spoken to many different businesses downtown. This morning I spoke to the owner of Shore Drugs, Meryl. She said to please also voice her concern. She does not like the meters. There's also problems outside of her parking lot where the numbers are coming through for the free parking area. Workers at Bridal Suite are upset. They're in the 12-hour parking lot, I believe, and they said it is a mess. There's garbage there, dumpsters, it needs to be repaved, tanks of oil, grease. When it rains, they can't get through, it floods. Somebody last week fell and broke their arm, and they just felt that maybe there should have been more concern to fix these areas before they were targeted for meters. So I'm just really asking that it's really going to destroy our community that we've worked so hard for. And I know myself and my friends and a bunch of people here, we're not going downtown as much as we did. It's much easier to go to other towns. And that's what we've been doing. So I'm pleased asking your compassion in revisiting this and maybe making some concessions so that more of us can be happy.
Thank you, Kathy. Mike McGillway. Edward Lupo on deck. Down.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael McGillway. I'm here representing today the Bay Shore Restaurant Committee and my 3 businesses that are located on Main Street in Bay Shore. I'm here to discuss our continued frustration to the parking meter program in Bay Shore. As I've stated here before, restaurants and the Chamber are not against the meters. The Main Street meters have opened up prime parking for our businesses, which were once taken by office workers who parked on Main Street all day. Our main issues with the meters are the hours of the rear meters are in operation, the amount of a parking ticket of $75, the fact that Bay Shore is the only town in the town of Islip with Main Street, municipal, marina, and train station meters. On April 17th, a small group of business owners met in the supervisor's office where we voiced these concerns. We all signed in with our names and emails and phone numbers. We explained our concerns. We brought examples of what other successful downtowns do with their parking management. We expressed our hope to work with the town to make this parking program successful. We left that meeting and were told the town would consider our concerns and get back to us. To date, there has been zero follow-up with local businesses or the Chamber of Commerce. On May 4th, Councilman Flotterin was walking door to door on Main Street, trying to get signatures in support of the meters. When he stopped in a local business, that owner informed him that the exact time the restaurant committee with over 12 downtown restaurants was meeting across the street and should come and discuss the parking situation with us. Councilman Flotterin decided against the meeting with the very people these meters are affecting. The very next day, with no notice, no phone call to the chamber, and no email, no posting on the town website or Facebook page, at 8 a.m. the bags were removed and the meters were turned on. Luckily, the restaurant and stores communicate with each other, and by 10 a.m. we were all aware. At 10:45 a.m. day, I reached out to the town after the meters were on. The response was, yes, soft opening, was about to reach out to you, you beat me to it. Could the community not be given 24 hours notice that this was happening? I find it ironic that both Supervisor Carpenter and Councilman Flotterin both posted photo ops on the Town of Islip Facebook page on May 5th, but couldn't add a post to inform the town that the meters were in the soft opening. Talking about the meters, concerns from the citizens. They don't take dollar bills, they don't work, the signs are confusing. Why do we have to pay during the day? Why do we have to pay on Sunday? I didn't get a receipt. Why can't I pay on my phone? I had a lunch appointment with a local online newspaper last Wednesday, received this text message. Mike, these meters are blanked up. I paid for my spot, but the receipt failed to print. So to test whether or not my payment was verified, I entered the same space number again, and it should have informed me the space was occupied, but instead took my money again, still no receipt. I urge this town board to sit with the Bay Shore businesses and rework this parking program before our businesses suffer more losses than we already have. Read the comments on the recent Newsday article about the parking. People are avoiding downtown Bay Shore. We cannot afford to lose our loyal customers over this unnecessary money grab. Thank you for your time.
Thank you. Edward Lupo. Andy Cross on deck. Andy Cross is up next after Mr. Lupo.
Yeah, I'm just going to take a minute, and what I have to say is going to be very short. But the first speaker...
Sorry, name and address, please.
It's Edward Lupo, 22 Garden Place in Bay Shore.
Thank you.
So the first speaker that was here mentioned his concerns about the targeting of Bay Shore, and the response was, well, the Islip train station is also scheduled to have metered parking. Well, that's not the issue. The issue is how it affects businesses. And the businesses in Bay Shore are being affected. Meanwhile, the businesses in Islip area of Islip are not being affected. There's a discrepancy there, and it's not fair. It's totally unjustified. And furthermore, this could be subject to a lawsuit, a civil action. And I'm not sure if you're aware of that. But that's all I have to say. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Mr. Cross? Leah Smith on deck.
Andy Cross, 114 Brentwood Street in Bay Shore. And once again, I'm here about the New York real property law on my tax bill that I got from the town. Although down from the absurd 41% increase on this tax, the price of houses is up around 4% according to MLS. And now how come this thing is still on the tax bill? You should be making money on this thing now that the taxes, the houses are going up 4% a year. So why do we need this tax? And how come this isn't mentioned on the Islip propaganda channel? And why should we, Islip taxpayers, pay for this channel when all we get is propaganda? And do we need an independent people on it so we can get the real town news? Back a couple of years ago, you bonded for equipment for 30 years, and the equipment only lasts 20 years. Bonded for Clementi Park, $6.5 million, when the cleanup only cost $2.5 million. What happened to the other $4 million? What happened to the $1 million that you got from Croce for the park, and the $2 million you got from Ramos? Did you put that profit, the $6.5 million, off the backs of the people of Brentwood? And how come it's not mentioned on Islip's propaganda channel? And why should taxpayers pay for this propaganda channel? Now you want to bond to fix potholes, when the town highway tax went up 51%. And what'd you do with the 51% if you're not going to fill potholes with it? Where did it go? And is this increase what we get from the highway superintendent when he gets a $40,000 raise to charge taxpayers 51% more? And why is he still working? I mean, 51% increase, the guy should be gone. Could you tell us why Mr. Walkoff is already getting tax breaks on the Heartland projects, why most of his buildings in the Heartland Industrial Park get tax breaks? Is this another Daytree scandal, giving tax breaks for the building and forcing more hardships on the people of Brentwood, who are going to have to pay for the new schools for about 14,000 new students, almost doubling the school tax of Brentwood residents, and forcing them to pay for the tax breaks already given? And why was this not mentioned on ISIP propaganda channel? And why do taxpayers have to pay for this channel when all you get out of it is propaganda? And one thing that I didn't write down, I didn't know all these people were going to come opposing the parking meters, but
Time is up, Mr. Cross.
okay.
Thank you.
I wanna
Leah
see-
Smith.
I want to see you laugh now.
Next speaker, Sean Nolan.
Hi, I'm not Lisa Smith, but she gave me her...
The microphone to your right is the one you should be
Oh,
speaking
okay.
in. Great, thank you.
I'm not, my name is Jane Becker.
Oh.
I know Lisa Smith gave me her time slot because I have to be at a Bayshore High School 50th reunion meeting at 3 o'clock. So I'm here because I own a business on Main Street, Earth and Vessel.
What is the name of the person that you're filling in for?
Lisa Smith. My number was 22, so we switched.
Okay, and you are?
Jane Becker.
Okay.
We just need your address, ma'am.
Okay. It's on there. I'm number 22 in the list. so-
The stenographer needs it for the record.
Okay. Two. Okay.
Just keep going, please.
Okay. 2 Joyce's Way, Bayshore, New York.
Thank you.
I'm here because the parking meters have definitely affected our business. They were put in right before the holiday season, and it hurt our business tremendously. Besides the meters being an inconvenience, they're incredibly ambiguous. Most people have come into our studio and they have no idea what they're doing. They don't know how to do it, and unless you've done it many times, it's very difficult. We run a studio. We have approximately 75 students that attend our studio per week. And we had plenty of parking in the back behind our studio, but the town has now designated a good portion of that as free parking. So they wanted to extend the free parking to either end of the town. And now our students are having tremendous difficulty even finding a parking space. They come in with bags of clay, tools, and things to work at the studio. They're heavy. And this has been an absolute disaster for us, the whole parking meter thing. So I'm here just to express that. And I don't really feel that there's any way that you can correct that without just removing these meters. I went to a meeting and I felt that we were bamboozled because they talked about the ferries and the summer people coming in at the ferries and how the meters were going to be, there so that the town would generate some income, not just the ferry company. That was basically what was said at the meeting that I went to. And I don't think it was clear that we were all going to be affected by these meters throughout the entire town. Anyway.
Thank you, Jane. Sean Nolan. Stephen Scalise on deck.
Sean stepped out. I'm Steven Scalise. Good afternoon. My name is Steven Scalise, 81 Elder Road, Islip, New York. I am the owner of Tallulah's in Bayshore, and the meters have definitely affected my business since they were put in. I don't have quarters in my restaurant. It doesn't accept dollar bills. I have a lot of people coming in figuring out or trying to figure out how to work the meters. It's affecting me directly and my business directly. I think that the meters need to be pulled out and stop taking money right away until you figure out how it's going to work properly. I believe that you launched it prematurely and that it was not thought out fully. I think you need to remove them and then figure it out.
Thank you. Nelsina Day. Nelsina Day.
Nelsina A. Day, 27 East Cherry Street, Central Islip, New York. Good afternoon, and thank you for this opportunity to come before you again. There are several things I want to bring up, mainly the timeline to open Roberto Clemente Park, also the vacant homes that are around that have listings on them. The lawns are overgrown to, it looks like they're covering the houses. There's a vacant home on 299 Nichols and Sportsman Drive, corner house, needs to be boarded up. They're right now using it for drugs and prostitution. Clayton Street Park, need a tree line, need to be cut down, especially behind the playground where the victims were found. At the corner of East Elm and Lowell Avenue, there's a sump pump that needs to be cleaned out. When it's hot outside, it smells to the dickens. And this has been called in several times. Also, Brent City on 2nd Avenue, behind all of those stores, that sump pump behind there, the mall needs to be cleaned and tickets given out for dumping illegal cooking oil. So the other thing is the $6 million for an animal shelter. Can't an old building be upgraded or a smaller size building be built in Central Islip? Last but not least, I have been getting notices from talks from people in Park Row, and they said that they are being triple taxed on their sewer. They pay a common charge, which includes their sewer, then they get a bill from the town, and then they get another bill from the town. They would like someone to come and look at this seriously before they decide it's time to move out of Park Row. Thank you.
Thank you. Greg Pepe. Kim Swinton on deck.
Greg Pepe, 127 St. Mark's Lane, Islip, New York. Those who attended the April 25th Islip Town Board meeting witnessed a shameful display of bureaucratic arrogance and an outright abuse of power towards the working class taxpayers who are the backbone of the township and only get 2 opportunities in a year to attend an evening meeting. Because the supervisor said, along with Mr. Flaherty, that not too many people come out anymore to evening meetings. Well, I can tell you, they were packed. I had to stand outside the door because this whole place was packed. But they were down both staircases. And when we saw that the room was being emptied out by the people in this room, they weren't being replenished with the people standing and waiting for over 2 hours. When I had an elderly couple who was standing out there since 5:45, trying to gain access, had to go home because they were treated like cattle. Then, when I told the public safety person at the door that there was empty seats inside, he said that it's a direct order from the supervisor to not let anyone else in the room. Okay, so that's a blatant disrespect to our First Amendment right of free speech, because the people that left, that wanted to speak, were turned away. So, you know, when you get up here, and then let me tell you another thing, because me and Nat now, when I spoke to her, when I put the complaint in, she tells me that, oh no, it wasn't a direct order from the supervisor to the public safety person operating the door. It was one of the council members' aide that did this, okay? And I said, who was it? She wouldn't reply in either a certified letter that was given to her with questions I had, nor verbally over the phone, okay? So, but let's look at it this way. 2 of the council members didn't have any aides here that night. The other 2, they were sitting in the audience with the people. It wasn't until the brave people from Sayville, these women, to actually tell the supervisor point blank to let us in from outside. We were waiting there. That's the only reason. And they had to interrupt the speaker. And then after the speaker was done, instead of addressing the empty seats, the supervisor picks up 2 more cards to bring people up to this podium to speak, ignoring the people that were stuck out in the hall. So this is going to go to the civil liberties. I'm going to take this even further because you blatantly did misuse your power and also violated the People's First Right Amendment to have to leave and not be heard. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Pepe. Kim Swinton. George Talley on deck.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon. My name is Kim Swinton. I live on North Gardner Drive in Bayshore. I'm here to oppose the Brentwood, the Heartland.
Can't hear you.
The Heartland project. I'm sorry. I moved here over 20 years ago from the city for a better quality of life. Came here because it was quiet. The houses weren't on top of each other. There weren't multiple dwellings sitting 6 stories high or whatever. With this Heartland project coming, the Sagatos Parkway is directly behind my house. Every 6 minutes, there's an accident in that small corridor between the Southern State and the Pilgrim Psych Center. Every day. The last survey I heard of, there were more than 90,000 cars traveling on that highway daily. If you add 9,000 units there for people to live, that corridor is going to be slammed. It's going to be a parking lot. Around that, you put the Deer Park Tanger outlets is on one side. You put a Chick-fil-A on the other side of the LIE, that area, and the Costco. That area is too congested already. You're also saying there's going to be construction for 30 years until this project is finished. I retired. I do not want to hear construction all day, every day for 30 years. It's not feasible. It doesn't do anything for my quality of life, or anyone's quality of life for that reason. The wildlife, it's the bird sanctuary on the other side of it is going to be disrupted. It's just a horrible idea. The school systems are going to be flooded. My sewer problems are going to be worse because we have the infrastructure is just horrible here. It's just unbearable to think of what's going to happen between now and the next 30 years if this is put forward. So I just wanted to come here to oppose the Heartland Center, and thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming down. George Talley. Michael Tolan on deck.
George Talley, 124.
Good to see you.
Good to see you. Had to get some plumbing done for a little while, so I haven't been around. 124 Chapel Hill Drive, Brentwood, New York. I attended a seniors meeting yesterday. There's about 183 seniors in Brentwood. I'm just bringing some of their requests, one of which is the potholes, Brentwood Road, Lowell Avenue, and Harrison Street, and a few other streets where they're getting wider and deeper. Before somebody gets killed, or you blow a tire, blow a rim, I think you should have people looking into it. There's a group that's been formed, Concerned Senior Citizens. I know I've been coming up here for the last 10 years and talking about all the illegal hotels in Brentwood, where there's 7 dishes on top of the roof, and 7 meters on the side of the house, and 15 cars parked on a lawn. Brentwood School District is now over 20,000 children, and they're not getting their fair share of the school tax because the illegal landlords are not paying their fair share. And now discussing what's going on, and there's been no change, and these landlords are getting away with only paying 1 tax on a single dwelling home. It's unfair to the seniors who have their children grown and are paying the same school tax as they've been paying when their kids went to school. So there is a movement now that the senior citizens 65 and older should not pay any more school tax, because the school districts, and I've been talking to Alexis Welk, so I'm finding out that it isn't the town's fault, but the school district's fault. And they're not doing anything about these landlords and collecting the correct amount of tax. Now, if they can collect the correct amount of tax, you should be able to collect some more tax too, which would help your situation. But the school tax is the heaviest tax on your tax bill, and in Brentwood it's $5,000. If these people want their children educated, they have to pay for their children, just like we did. But now that our children are up and grown and what have you, there's no reason why we have to continue as seniors to pay the school tax and have no children registered to our homes going to the school. So until they correct that problem, which I don't think they ever will, the concerned senior citizens feel that they shouldn't be paying any school taxes. And I just want to reiterate that I know I've been coming to you guys for years, and it's not your fault. It's the fault of the school districts not going after the correct the landlords to pay the correct tax. Thanks very much.
Thank you, George. Good to see you back. Michael Tolan, John Visconti on deck.
Good afternoon. My name is Michael Tolan. I live at 37 Blackmore Lane, East Islip.
The right. Very good, thank you.
Is that better?
Yeah.
Okay. I've been a resident of the town for the last 38 years. I'm living on Blackmore Lane, which is unfortunately a private road, designated as a private road only because it's not wide enough to be a public road. Many times when we've asked for help on the road, they tell us it's a private road and won't do anything for us unless we widen the road. But you won't widen the road because in order to widen the road, you'd have to take property from frontage from some residents, and other residents you'd be taking the rear of their road. It's not going to be any cooperation, and I'm sure the town doesn't want to pay for it. In the 38 years I've been there, the road has needed maintenance constantly. There's no known owners of the road, so there's nowhere to go to say fix it, and it's up to us. We've been fixing potholes ourselves, except for the last few years now the town has fixed some potholes. But I'm here to request that the town repave the road. It needs paving very, very, very bad. It's crumbling, it's falling apart. And some years ago I spoke to, I forget who handles that, but and I was told the same thing. Well, it's a private road, we don't take care of it. But they do snow removal, and they've been repairing the potholes. And I'd like you to consider repaving this for us. It would be too expensive. We pay taxes like everybody else, and some very high taxes. And I know some of the taxes go for highway service or maintenance. So why are we not entitled to get some of that also? Appreciate your consideration. Let us know if you're willing to take care of it. I've been to the supervisor's office, but I'm not able to get an interview, so maybe that's why I'm here today, so I can see you
Glad you
directly.
came down.
All right. Anyway, thank you.
Thank you. We will look into it. The fact that it is privately owned causes problems, but we'll have town attorney look into it. John Visconti? On deck, Pat Montanino?
Hello, my name is John Visconti. I live at 38 Blackmore Lane. I live across the street from Mike.
Got it.
I built my house there at the end of the road 19 years ago. And it was part of the, probably 25% of that roadway was unpaved. It was actually a dirt path. I paved the road in front of my house, and my neighbor Mike just about a month ago paved a little bit more in front of his house too. The part of the roadway we were even talking about isn't in front of my house or his. We have to drive down about 800 feet of maybe the worst roadway in the whole town of Islip. That includes all the commercial areas as well. It's terrible. Kids can't ride their bicycles down there. I can't ride my bicycle without flipping over the handlebars. It's really bad. And they have come the last few years, and they've filled in the potholes. And they're filling in the same potholes year to year to year. They're not even doing it the right way. And I don't want to knock anybody, but there's really a right way to do it, and they're not doing it that way. We really need a new roadway. It's really bad. There's 2 layers of roadway there right now, and they're just peeling up. It's really bad. So thank you very much for your time.
You're welcome.
I appreciate it. Maybe a supervisor can come down and take a look at it, from the highway department, just to look at it.
The Commissioner of Public Works is right there. Thank you for coming down. Pat Montanino, and on deck, Nikki Thompson.
Okay.
The other
Pat
one.
The other microphone.
Pat Montanino, 28 Campbell Lane in East Islip. The town of Islip taxpayers own the property on Carlton Avenue where the Islip Ambulance Exchange is. Where is the engineer's report that we have been filing for, we've been filing for, that says the building is unsafe and needs to be knocked down? Are the taxpayers aware that the town board approved and purchased recently the house on Carlton Avenue across from the ambulance exchange for over $400,000 and are going to make it so Islip Ambulance has more parking? How did you know this when plans drawn up years ago included a crosswalk from the purchase house to the ambulance? And why were plans being drawn up? And why have markings been made this past week to rebuild the ambulance exchange? How is it Councilman Flotterman is stating the building all of a sudden is unsafe? How many violations then was issued? Because in Newsday, December 2011, 2016, it was stated to everyone the building was unsafe. How many other buildings did the ambulance exchange look at to lease with more room? Did the ambulance look at the building on the corner of Union and Carlton to lease it? I understand the owners are looking to lease it. This property was owned by the town. They sold it for $3.1 million, and now the new owners are looking to lease it. February 22nd, 2017, Ms. Carpenter, you said in a statement that it's the town's obligation to keep up ambulance facilities. I'd like to know where you read that. And how is it the town is entertaining this request from the Islip Ambulance Exchange to knock down the building for a new one for over $6 million of the taxpayers' money? The building was looked at in 2000 by H2M engineers to do $160,000 worth of work that would suffice and rectify the building. Why wasn't it done? Who looked the other way? But how funny is it? They want to do the work to build a brand new one. Now, I have to say why I am skeptical of the ambulance company. The person who made the chief, Sam Ganji, he was caught committing fraud on the taxpayers and thrown off Section 8 housing. The amount of electrical wires coming out of his home was unbelievable. He would drive one of the ambulance like it was a joke to his home and sound the sirens. The NYPD Narcotics Department sat on my corner and said they were monitoring the house for drug activity.
Thank you.
I would also, just 2 quick paragraphs. Mr. Cochran.
I'm sorry.
Well, I just have 2 quick. Mr. Cochran, I know you insure many.
Ms. Montanino, everyone has 3 minutes. Thank you.
You're naturally profiting from it. How long have you been insuring Islip Ambulance?
Next
or
speaker,
Fire Island Ferry?
Michelle Rizzo-Berg.
I'm asking a question. I think we're all entitled, okay? So I'm going to...
Michelle Rizzo-Berg.
I'm going to take that as a
Thank you,
yes.
Michelle. Judy Frankel on deck.
Hi, I'm Michelle Rosenberg, representing 37 West Main Street in Bayshore, the Bolton Center. I share the sentiments of those Main Street, we do have concerns with the meters in the back. Specifically, I have safety concerns with my staff. Most of my staff are female, and although if they want to park close, they can if they want free parking, so they have to end up walking very far behind in the back lots. And quite honestly, I don't feel good about them doing that. Also, the lot off Mechanicsville is always incredibly dirty and filthy, and when it rains, there's a huge pool of water that really prevents a huge area where we can park. I also have some concerns with the soft opening. We had a full staff of people in there from the YMCA where I informed them that they did not have to pay for parking, and then in the middle of the pouring rain, we did have to end up telling them to park because that soft opening was told it was on a different day. Another concern that I have for us is where are my bands and artists going to park? We have a lot of artists come in from out of town. If they're not on a bus, they come in various different vehicles, which means I'm going to have to validate parking. And although we are owned by the YMCA, we are a nonprofit, and we do bring a lot of business into Bayshore, and I'm going to now have to pay out of pocket for those people to come and perform in my facility. Another thing that we have some concern about is the confusion on the meters. We have so many people coming into our box office asking, what are the hours? I don't understand the signs. I don't have quarters. It's not taking any bills. So a lot of that is really hurting us. But again, as I said, we're not opposed to it on Main Street. We'd like to see some different hours in the back and other ways in which we can help our guests be coming into Bayshore. Thank you.
Thank you, Michelle. Nikki Thompson, and on deck is Judy Frankel.
Madam Supervisor, council members. Okay, I'm here to voice my opposition to the proliferation of parking meters in the hamlet of Bayshore.
Ma'am, may we get your name and address, please?
Nikki Thompson, 5 Rhodes Avenue, Bayshore. Okay, it started out on Maple Avenue. Most community residents understood the reasoning for metered parking there, as Fire Island travelers would fill the lots and board ferries for a day or even a weekend, making it difficult for restaurant patrons to find parking slips. However, the town board pushed through this metered parking plan without giving the residents of the hamlet of Bayshore an opportunity to give input or voice concerns. Over 30 years, the hamlet suffered benign neglect from the town. Our Main Street was littered with shuttered businesses, discharged mental patients, and a variety of other unfortunate souls. The mini center housed DSS, whose clientele would spend hours a day in the parking lot discarding food wrappers, soiled diapers on the ground. The train station was in disrepair. The marina offered boat slips with plenty of parking, with a deteriorated bulkhead, and Benjamin's Beach was a dirty little unfiltered cove. It was not until the concerned residents of this hamlet joined together behind the Greater Bayshore Chamber of Commerce and the Bayshore Brightwater Summit Council that we began to see these problems addressed. Our volunteers worked tirelessly for years to build this hamlet into the esteemed position it holds today. We've donated our time, our money, and our talents, all for the betterment of the hamlet of Bayshore, only to see you, Town of Islip officials, come along to tax our success in the form of parking meters. There are meters on Main Street, on both North and South service roads behind Main Street, on the streets that run perpendicular to Main Street, in the Long Island Railroad parking lot, on the Maple Avenue dock, at the Bayshore Marina, and in the Benjamin's Beach parking lot. I have 3 questions that I'd like answers to. I'd like to know, 1, where were you current board members who voted in favor of these parking meters when the rest of us worked like dogs to improve our community? 2, what gives you the right to arbitrarily decide to establish parking districts in the hamlet of Bayshore and bilk our residents? 3, how do you justify conducting public hearings in the daytime when most working adults are unable to attend a hearing? It is time for this board to realize that the hamlet of Bayshore is not your cash cow. We are individuals, families, and businesses that work hard, pay our taxes, and strive to be the best we can be. Your actions can be interpreted as punitive rather than congratulatory. Shame on you.
Thank you, Nikki. Judy Frankel. On deck, Donna Perricone.
Thank you for letting me speak. My name is Judy Franco. I live in Holbrook. At the last meeting, I mentioned that there was a broken fence on Furrows Road. That's 4 weeks ago. The broken fence is still on Furrows Road, laying over the sidewalk, and nobody can walk there. It's between Devon Road and Clubhouse Drive in Holbrook. It's on Furrows Road. And also there's garbage, there's debris all over this section of road, and I'd like to know who's responsible for it. On one side is 615 Furrows Road, and on the other side are homes, but they're backyards of homes. And in fact, one home has a large hose almost to the edge of their property. And I assume sometimes there's water coming out of it. And I assume they're draining their swimming pool. Is that legal? I'd like to also make a complaint about the air quality coming from 615 Furrows Road. In the last few weeks, there have been noxious odors and dust galore. And I would like to know why there isn't some form of testing, air testing, or dust, or it is just, this morning it smelled like burning asphalt. That's what it smelled like, burning sidewalk. You know, when they redo the roads, that's what it smelled like. And also, the heavy equipment is still parked close to Furrows Road, where they have removed all the trees, and they're still digging up the ground, and God knows what they're putting in there. And I would like to know what is being done. There has to be something on the books that can be enforced to stop these people from polluting our groundwater and our air. It's disgusting. It is absolutely criminal. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Donna Perricone. On deck, Donna Rinaldi.
My name is Donna DeLuca Perricone, 77 East Main Street, Bayshore, New York. I'm here this afternoon speaking on behalf of the Chamber of Commerce of Greater Bayshore. Since 2014, when John Cochran first proposed this parking meter program, the hamlet of Bayshore has cooperated with the town. Now we are paying fees for parking at the train station. We are paying fees for parking at the marina. We are paying fees for parking at Maple Avenue. And starting last year, we paid fees for parking on Main Street. As if this was not enough, now this board is forcing us to pay for hundreds of spaces in our downtown parking lots. The impact on our Main Street is being felt by all of our businesses, and today you only heard from a few. I hear from 20, 30 every week. What will it take for this board to understand enough is enough? To make matters worse, at the last town board meeting, this board decided that your meter program will not be continuing into the hamlet of Islip at this time, nor into any other Islip downtown. So this board is forcing only Bayshore to pay these additional taxes, and that is just what they are. Is this fair? Is this just? No. Is this discriminatory taxes? Yes. We suggest it is just that, because only Bayshore is putting money into meters. In a meeting with Supervisor Carpenter and John Cochran, members of our board asked the town to start the parking lot meters at 6 p.m. as they do in Patchogue. This starting time has been very successful there. Patchogue understands there is less negative impact when employees and patrons can park free in the parking lots until 6 p.m. But the supervisor and the councilman obviously did not agree with us because we still have early morning AM parking in the parking lots. How do you think Bayshore feels knowing that the employees in this building are not paying to park today in your municipal lot? There are no employees throughout the entire town of Islip who are paying to go to work today to park in one of your lots. Only Bayshore employees must pay to park. Discriminatory taxation.
Thank you, Donna. Donna Rinaldi. I'm Jack Pam Raymond. I'm sorry, Donna Rinaldi.
Before I start with my time, I just wanted to tell Mr. Pepe is his name?
Yeah.
That I was in here that night. I was the speaker that was interrupted with all the hubbub about people outside. None of the board said that they couldn't come in. They didn't know what was going on out there. It was, I guess, strictly...
She saw the empty seat, she had a perfect view.
Donna, I appreciate what you're trying to do, but it's hopeless. It's okay.
Let them in. She said to let them in.
Donna, thank you, but it's how it
Let's
is.
get the facts straight.
I know, well, fact checking seems to not happen here. Go ahead, Donna.
Donna Rinaldi, 130 Green Avenue, Sabre. Again, I am here begging you, Trish and Mary Kate, to please vote yes for building the new animal shelter. The new shelter could be such a plus to the town. Having an event and classroom area to incorporate community events and educational programs would surely lead to better PR, more adoptions, and best of all, financial support via donations and grants. Businesses, grantors, and contributors to animal causes love to see animals in a clean, welcoming atmosphere. A new shelter could become a source of great pride for the town and community, but it has to be large enough and built wisely. There is a tremendous potential to get support for the addition of extras, such as medical equipment, donations for outdoor play areas, etc., when the facility draws the public in, rather than being a dank and dismal place like it is now that nobody wants to go to. As soon as the board announces approval, we, the animal advocates, would start to plan to raise donations for things needed. What Animal Lovers League did in Glen Cove was to say that if the city would put in the ductwork, ALL would put in the air treatment system that the city would not approve. When the city had solid metal doors and walls, ALL kept saying they would pay the extras to have window walls and glass in the doors for light and vision. In the end, they got the Lions Club, business and civic organizations, etc., to chip in, and they got to build the outside play areas for the dogs and cats, the apartment group housing for the cats, and the surgery facility. There's help out there, but not when it's a place that nobody wants to visit. We are not merely looking to increase capacity, we want to see the animals in environmentally beneficial surroundings so that they have a much lower stress level and are far more adoptable. New shelter designs lend themselves to far easier cleaning, healthier environment for people and animals alike, far less contagion, which will slash euthanasia rates, and adoption numbers will definitely increase because the animals will present to the public so much better. And a Friends of the Shelter organization could be formed, which would cut shelter costs through their donations and better public relations. Regarding financing, Andy Whitman of Lincoln Avenue, Sable, said this at last month's meeting, and I didn't know it until I watched it on Channel 18. That is not propaganda. We are at the best time in town of Islip right now with our AAA bond rating to move forward with these types of infrastructure that are in dire need. Again, I don't work for the town, I don't work for the shelter, but I've been there many times myself, and yes, they are in dire need of a new facility. With a AAA bond rating, for those of you who don't understand, it's like getting a mortgage at 3%. If you have bad credit, you're gonna get a mortgage at 6 or 7%. The supervisor and town board have done a wonderful job the past couple of years to increase us to the highest rating, which is AAA. Now is the best time to invest in our town, to invest in our community, and to invest in our future. And if you don't take advantage of it now, you will surely be doing a disservice
Thank you, Donna.
to taxpayers. Trish, I don't want to go there, but you're up for re-election.
Thank you. Next speaker, Pam Raymond. On deck, John Kay. Anyone who persists in shouting is going to ask to be asked to leave, because it just isn't respectful to the people that are speaking. Please keep your comments to yourself. Pam?
Hi.
Good to see you, hon.
Pam Raymond. What's my new address? 302 North Main Street in beautiful downtown Sayville. First thing I wanted to say, the shelter. We need a shelter. We need a shelter that's beautiful, that we can be proud of, that we can bring children over to pick out an animal. We have the animals. We don't have to buy animals. We have animals roaming the street. It's very, very sad. Behind the movie theater the other day, I was walking because they sell drugs behind the movie theater, and I was yelling at the kids, "Go home," and I know who your mother is. And they tortured a cat, somebody did, and was stripped and killed in a very slow, horrible way. We have to get these animals don't have homes, and we deserve to have it better. $4, a mere $4 a house. That's what it would cost. I want to say too, I called Alexis about taxes. I don't know why the town can't have a postcard of the town taxes. They're so cheap. You guys do a great job. It's so little money. We just need to fix those roads up a little bit, and we'll have the $4. The school taxes, let them do their own postcard. They should be ashamed what they charge us. Let them take care of it. I wanted to know if you knew or could tell us anything about Princeton Prep, where Dowling College is. I called Princeton, but they didn't know anything about it. I would really like to know. I think it's an exciting idea. Charlotte Shop, when you're talking about parking, I think of Rui Isaacson. He calls me every once in a while. He's still alive, and he laughs that he left Sayville and Sayville fell apart, and he's really right. A lot of people didn't like Rui, and Frank Jones being one of them. And we ended up, he wanted to have something done about parking. Those were the days in Sayville we were talking about how we were going to charge for parking. Rui said, "I'm leaving town if you don't stop talking about it." He let the Charlotte Shop, our most successful shop ever in Sayville, immediately closed. So it is extremely important. I wanted to thank you for the work you guys did for the airport. I'm proud of Islip MacArthur Airport. I'm proud of it. I'm proud to live on Long Island. It's so easy when I can tell people I can be home in 10 minutes from a major airport. And Earth Day. We didn't have Earth Day in Sayville this year. I started Earth Day. I understand where it was, and I understand why, but it really hurt my feelings. I paid $6 grand to start Earth Day, and that was a lot of money in those days. And what Maria and the few of us who put it together did every year, and Kick ran that big support. Yeah, it wasn't filled with a trillion people, but it was ours, and we had a lot of people. I really came about the shelter because I'm an animal lover, and I see up close now, especially with Parkinson's. I never get in a
Sorry.
car, so please consider it.
Thank you for coming down, Pam. John Kay. And on deck we have Bob Herrick. John Kay? John Kay going once. Okay, Bob Herrick.
Good afternoon. I'm Supervisor, member of the Town Board. My name is Bob Herrick, 119 East Main Street, Bayshore, New York. I'm Vice President of the Chamber and President of the Bayshore Business Improvement District. Over the last year, I've heard a lot of complaints about the parking.
Bob, can you lift your microphone up, please?
I said I've heard a lot of complaints about the parking situation in Bayshore, how employees are forced to walk long distances at night. They feel they're in unsafe situations because you basically closed off the heart of the town to public parking without paying, which I think is, blatantly unfair. The other issue is we have pocket parking congestion now because people are avoiding fees, they're cramming other areas. Side streets that saw little or no parking now are inundated with cars. It's tough to get by. It's tough for garbage trucks, service trucks to get by. First Avenue, Second Avenue. If you haven't looked, take a look. The other issue is you drive through town early in the morning. It looks like a ghost town. Nobody's parking there because they don't want to pay the fee, and it's not that busy anyway. So if we were to make some relaxation, that might be something that would be attractive to people. The other issue is like Mechanicsville now. You've pushed so much parking, like behind Citibank, you can't even get in there anymore. Plus we have the armed forces recruiting, they're very active. And then you have AA over at the church, there's not enough parking. CDA could obviously offer a parking, they've done nothing. I know it's town money, it's got to be expended, but sometimes you have to do things to make things work. The other problem, like I said, is the question of fairness. I'm going to go buy something. I can go to the mall and park for free, so maybe I'll just drive there. I'm in my car anyway. That's part of the problem. You're hurting the downtown businesses. Make no mistake about it. You've heard it here, you'll hear it again and again. And the fact that you haven't done it in Islip, in Sayville, Islip of all towns, parking is atrocious here. There's very little parking. To move people around would have been more sensible to start here because they had the parking problem. Bayshore didn't really. And you forced it on Bayshore. Now you've suddenly decided, rightfully, due to complaints, that maybe we're going to hold off for a while, plus financial. I don't think you're making money on this thing either. You put a lot of money into it, and I don't see it being utilized that much. Yes, the restaurant people they're seeing their patrons put money in because they want to go to the restaurants. That's what we built Bayshore for, so to speak, over the last 20 years. And now you're hurting that, and I think that's blatantly unfair. I think you have to reassess it. You got to go out and look and solve some of these parking problems. But like I said, Mechanicsville, in the winter, they don't plow this parking areas over there, so that forces another problem. You can drive down there and it's not, you can't get in there. I think you have to really look at this carefully. It hasn't been done, and it's sloppy at this point. Thank you.
Lenore Dunn. On deck, Ken Beskin.
Lenore Dunn, 50 South Windsor, Brightwaters. I just have a question regarding Bayshore train station parking. I know it's been in effect for over a year now, and when I sat at the Bayshore Brightwaters Library and listened to everybody say how there was going to be increased security, it was going to be beautiful, we're going to plant flowers. I go there every single day to pick my son up, and I sit there early because none of that has happened. It's not safer. It's not beautiful at all. And frankly, it's a little scary on the north side, the people that hang out on the west end of the platform. And I just want to say, as a Brightwaters resident, the chamber has worked so hard to make Bayshore vibrant again. Years ago, when you drive by and there were empty buildings, I think we should support small businesses instead of taxing people to come in here. I know a lot of my friends said, well, why would I go there? I just want to stop in, so maybe they'll go somewhere else other than like Frank and Maria's or someplace in town. So, and the lots in the back, I get it. You know, in the summer it's tough with the ferry parking, but maybe there should be a Town of Islip sticker that Town of Islip residents could have, and there are lots where we could park for free, because not really free because we pay taxes. So that's just my comment.
Thank you, Lenore. Ken Beskin, Susan Bedreau on deck.
Ken Baskin, 143 South Connecticut Bayshore, member of the Bayshore Chamber Board. I echo everything that's been said before about the parking, but I'd like to focus on one point that Mike McElwee brought up. Why does Bayshore need parking meters on Sunday? I think that's very unfair, especially in regard to St. Patrick's Church, which is an anchor of the town, has 5,000 parishioners, and it's becoming more and more difficult for them to park. They used to park in the Tuxedo Place, which is gone. Used to park in back of Willy Nilly, which is gone. Now they have to park further away and then rush to get to Mass time. Now on top of that, elderly people have to deal with meters, and they don't understand it. It makes it even worse for people to just get to Mass on time. So I'd ask, why do we need parking meters on Sunday in Bayshore? Thank you.
Thank you, Ken. Susan Bedreau.
Susan Boudreau, 28 West Lane. I'm the president of the Bay Shore Beautification Society. The members of the Bay Shore Beautification Society wish to inform you that we are totally insulted and infuriated by the Islip Town Board deciding to install parking meters in Bay Shore. Since the meters were installed on Main Street and side streets to make our town look like a ghost town. It's no problem now getting a parking place anywhere, whereas before the meters were installed, getting a parking place was quite difficult. And how wonderful was that? 20 years ago, when Bay Shore was on its heels with dangerous streets and closed downtown stores, there was nothing to attract people to our town. The people of Bay Shore, led by the Chamber, the Bay Shore Summit Council, the Beautification Society, our real estate offices, and our hundreds of volunteers joined together in a grassroots movement to bring Bay Shore back to its current success story. Now our businesses, restaurants, and offices are thriving. Our streets are clean, beautified by our baskets of flowers. We hire veterans to keep our streets weed-free, so it is a place where people want to visit, shop, and do business. Islip Town installed meters to help with their financial shortfall and to get in on our success. However, many people have expressed to me that they adamantly refuse to put money into the parking meters. They use the free parking lots instead. So now, parking meters are installed in our formerly free lots, forcing people to pay for what used to be free. It wasn't bad enough that we had to pay to use the Bay Shore Marina if we wanted to enjoy the view. The view now is pay-per-view. Realizing that part of the problem is that Fire Island visitors were using up the parking areas, but instead of coming up with a real solution where Fire Island visitors were charged for parking, Islip Town's solution was to make Bay Shore residents, shoppers, businesses, and restaurants pay. The meters you installed are definitely going to affect the health of our downtown and drive clientele to other towns. Are you going to approve the Heartland project, which will take even more business away from Bay Shore? Are you too young or inexperienced to take a lesson from history that the parking meters installed many years ago on Bay Shore were one of the factors that led to its decline as people left our Main Street and headed to the mall to shop where they were not charged to shop? What are you doing with the money that is made from these meters? What percent comes back to Bay Shore and what percent helps with the deficit in the town of Islip's budget? Beautification members have worked too hard to bring our town back by raising our own money to plant gardens throughout town, building the national award-winning Reflection Garden, hanging 350 flower baskets, keeping streets free of litter and weeds. We've received county and state grants, but never has Islip Town ever donated a cent to beautification. You charge us to put on family events open to the townspeople, such as the Winterfest, the Pumpkin Fest, and the Haunted Garden, events that you should be offering to your residents. We had water meters installed at the railroad and at town property on Brook and Reading at a cost of beautification of $2,500 after a promise was given to us that we could plant gardens at the train station. The parking meters are infuriating the townspeople.
Thank you, Susan.
It's another way
Your time
of
is
showing
up.
us that you don't really care, that you do not take us into consideration when you are voting. We will remember this when we
Peggy
vote.
Bergon is the next speaker. On deck is Doc Urquhart.
Peggy Bergen, 15 Park Avenue, Island Surgical and Vascular Group in Bay Shore. I'm the practice manager over at Island Surgical and Vascular.
There you go.
And I've met with many of your board members and many of your representatives regarding the parking issue. I'm coming from another standpoint other than what the restaurants are coming from. Our patients are paying for parking, and I can't even imagine that seems right to you. Taking money from sick people coming to see their doctors is absolutely ridiculous. They already pay co-pays, co-insurances, high deductibles to step into my office and see the doctors they want to see. Now they have to pay. First of all, last week I had a huge issue with the parking meters, and my front desk spent half the day trying to help them. That is unacceptable. And when I call, they tell me there are people out there. Well, there was nobody out there to help the people that needed help. And my staff cannot monitor the parking all day long. It's not fair to the patients. We're not a restaurant. We can't add $1 to our burger to make up for whatever money we might lose or what we have to give to people. We're a doctor's office. We need to service these patients. The handicap spots are free, but not everybody's handicapped. Then I'm being told they're going to give me more free parking, but that does not tell me that my patients are going to get that free parking. My employees already bought their stickers. I can't afford to keep subsidizing that every year for my employees to come to work in Bay Shore. It's just not fair. We're talking about minimum wage or a little bit above minimum wage front desk people. They're not making that kind of money to subsidize themselves like that. The cleanup was never done. You don't even have the place cleaned up. The bus stop is still a mess. It's unsafe for people to park in those free parking spots because back there it's very unsafe for all of us to be, and a lot of them have come and witnessed that. I really think when you grouped us all into the Main Street, you didn't really take into consideration that we're a doctor's office. We're privately owned. We are not owned by Northwell. We are not owned by CHS. Everything that we lay out, every penny that we spend or lose by losing patients who don't want to deal with meters and don't want to deal with this are going to go elsewhere. It's a very big medical community. We could very easily lose our patients to somebody down the block who doesn't have any kind of parking situation to deal with. When I went to the other town hall, I see Islip Dental is there. They don't have to pay for parking. Their employees don't have to pay for parking. They're a medical facility just like myself. I really would like you to reconsider something. I came to meetings with solutions. I asked for a meter code that I could give to my patients. It can change every day if it has to. I use tokens all the time. Something that I can give my patients so when they leave my office, they can put something in the meter and they can be zeroed out as a balance. They don't have to pay for parking. It isn't just where they're parking, it's the whole idea that they have to pay. It's unrealistic to do that to a private practice. We're one of the few left in the county of Suffolk that aren't owned by someone else. We need a little more restitution. We're next to Good Sam, but we're not affiliated with Good Sam. We're on our own. So hopefully you'll reconsider
Thank
this.
you. Dawn Urquhart, Taylor Brown, Yard, Garcia on deck.
Don Urquhart, 175 Colony Drive, Holbrook. I rise once again to ask that you take timely affirmative action to protect the health of licensed residents and enforce land use and zoning regulations by addressing the conditions on Furrows Road. Dubious trucks continue to dump construction and demolition debris on 70-foot piles. Following Roberto Clemente, this government certainly well knows of the incidents of illegal dumping of illegal dumping of tainted construction and demolition debris. We asked you to enforce the provisions of the deed and covenant restrictions on those parcels. Conditions have changed. We're breathing whatever it is that blows off those parcels, those piles, and unless you can guarantee us that there are no contaminants in those materials, you've chosen willful ignorance and bureaucratic finger pointing, deferring your responsibility to safeguard our health to the DEC. Now, this board thinks it's above and unaccountable to its constituents. On the other hand, it extends great deference to its clients, campaign donors, and political supporters. Constituents' comments frequently interrupted before 3 minutes are up, and they get no feedback. Clients, as we just observed, get ample time to make their case, and questions are answered. And claiming that no one shows up to evening meetings, this board allows working-class taxpayers only 2 chances a year to attend meetings. And on April 25th, this body sunk to a new low. You deliberately and unnecessarily forced scores of residents to stand on hard marble floors and stairs to a hall for hours, while seats remained empty. A public safety officer admitted that he was told that the supervisor didn't want any more people in the room. Now, the supervisor's acting chief of staff reportedly acknowledged that this is what happened and that the public safety officer was reprimanded. And the message is clear. In Islip, you get the government you pay for. Now, that could certainly explain why the town failed to include all of the Daughtry's business interests in its civil RICO action. It could explain why the judge recently dismissed charges against several defendants in that action, finding that the town failed to allege sufficient facts to identify fraudulent conduct, but then gave the town until April 27th to file an amended complaint. That could explain why the Attorney General had to step in and try to recover what your campaign contributors ravaged. Consider this an opportunity to set that record straight. We will continue to examine why this government is so unresponsive, why donors get such sweet and costly deals, why board members fail to disclose their business interests, and why they vote on matters that come before this body concerning their clients. Your constituents get 3 minutes a month to appeal to you. At least have the grace to put down your devices and make believe you're paying attention to them. And know this. This level of arrogance has political consequence. Enough is enough. I am not alone.
Thank you,
We
sir.
are not going away.
Thank you. Taylor Brown Yard Garcia. On deck, Peter C. and Corelli. No, you're on deck. Taylor, unless she's left. Taylor Brown Yard Garcia. Taylor? Okay, you're up, Peter.
Hello, thanks for having me. My name is Peter Ciancarelli. I work for, actually my address is 571 Center Chicot Avenue, West Islip, New York. I work for Salt and Barrel, Bayshore. And the parking situation is out of control. The back parking lot off of Park Avenue is a gangster paradise. It is glass broken everywhere. There are drug deals going down in front of people. There are people everywhere strolling around causing bad things. The meters themselves have become an issue because now the girls, they're back here, have to walk to their cars at night. It's very dangerous. That lot is dangerous. I don't know if you've been back there. It's really bad. And hopefully you guys can do something about it because it's awful. And thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter. Mary Gravina. Next speaker, Jennifer Brownyard.
Good afternoon. My name is Mary Gravina. I live at 138 South Bay Avenue, Brightwaters, and I'm here to speak on behalf of Hospice Care Network, which is a non-profit agency that has provided end-of-life care services to the town of Islip for over 30 years. I'm not here to talk about a loss of business. Unfortunately, we are never at a loss of business with hospice or a loss of revenue. I'm not here to talk about. What I'm here to talk about is how the parking has impacted the compassionate staff that devote hours, time tirelessly to care for the needs of the people in our community. And unfortunately, they have been restricted into how they can park to access our office on Shore Lane. There is now 2-hour parking in front of our home, so our staff that comes in and out cannot park there. If they're there for the day covering a desk for a nursing supervisor, they have to park in the back lot and can only do that for 4 hours at a time. We have applied for several e-stickers, however, they have to be registered to a particular vehicle, and our staff rotate who covers the desk and who comes in and out. So it would not be possible or feasible for a non-for-profit agency to buy e-stickers for every employee that potentially could have to use the office for more than 4 hours at a time. Additionally, our clientele, our clients that come and go into the office have also been unfairly ticketed on on Shore Lane, claiming the tickets claimed a $75 ticket that they parked for over 2 hours. We have had to dispute those tickets, and successfully, but it takes up an awful lot of time and energy on the staff that really have other things that have to be attended to that take precedence. Additionally, the lot that is behind hospice on Mechanicsville, I would have to agree with the others that have talked about it, it's unkept. There are big potholes, it floods, it's dirty, and in the summer months and the warmer weather attracts a lot of homeless people, a lot of drug deals, and it's not a safe place for us either to be able to park. Additionally, our elderly that come for bereavement services, it's a tremendous hardship for them to walk from that back lot through the parking lot, through our gate, up our driveway, and into our house. So I'm here, again, not to talk about loss of revenue, not to even dispute the need for meters in our town. Perhaps on a scaled-down basis, it does have value. I'm here really with a message of compassion, that if we're going to continue to care for dying people in our community, as we have for the last 30 years, our staff needs to be able to access our office. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Jennifer Brownyard. On deck, Anthony Leese. Jennifer Brownyard. Anthony Leese. Anthony Leese. Mary Donnelly.
Good afternoon, Mary Donnelly, 334 Windsor Avenue in Brightwaters. I appreciate the renaissance that downtown Bayshore has enjoyed in the last several years. This was a mitigating factor in my decision to purchase a home in the area. I am neither a business owner nor a restaurateur, but I am a patron of the community. I help to make up the foot traffic that supports the local economy and makes Bayshore an enjoyable place to live. Like those that have spoken before me, I remember the Bayshore of the late 1980s and early 90s. The Bayshore that was marred by shuttered storefronts, abandoned buildings, and loitering junkies. As a stakeholder in this community, as a homeowner, I fear an economic decline could reverse the progress that has been made. My friends, family, and I spend money here to prevent this, but business owners are telling you there's a problem. The addition of so many new luxury apartments, such as 5 Shore Loft, Village Gate, Village Place, and the newest development, Braemore Flats, certainly adds to the aesthetic, but I imagine also significantly increases the hyper-local population, as well as an influx of new vehicles that require suitable parking. To that end, I ask these questions in a rhetorical fashion. Has the town of Islip conducted an adequate study of the impact all of this residential development has on the available parking in downtown? And to what extent has the developer of these new communities been held accountable for the impact on parking? In an interview with GreaterBayshore.com, Councilman Cochran indicated that discussions are in place to build a parking garage between Smith and Park Avenues. He said, quote, "There is no timeline. That would be a very expensive project." If the driving rationale supporting the parking meters relates to the influx of vehicles due to ferry traffic, or all of these beautiful new apartments that have been built, then I ask the board to shift the financial burden away from people like me and my family, and people that are going into the pizza place for a slice, or going into willy-nilly to buy a new Fair Bradley bag. We should not be held accountable for the parking. Instead, please pass that on to the developers, who I'm sure paid quite a bit of money to build here in Bayshore. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Fred Lacignina. Fred, Lacagnina. Fred. Okay, Mary Louise Cohen.
Hi, my name is Mary Louise Cohen, 17 Dorner Lane, Bayshore, New York. Sorry. I've been out working in the garden and I'm allergic to some of the stuff out there. I'm here today to speak on behalf of the Bayshore Brightwater Summit Council. I'm president of that group. I want to really, I'm not going to read everything that I wrote because I think that you've heard a lot of points that have been very important today. I hope you'll take it to heart, to sit down again, roll up your sleeves, and work with the business owners and the community in reaching a better solution to this issue. We've been discussing it for many years. The Summit Council is against the parking system as laid out now. We came out against the marina parking last summer, and you were good enough to keep letting us use rec cards down at the marina. I see most of you are very disinterested, so I'm going to cut my remarks short because I know what it's like to sit on the other side of the table, but I also expect you guys to listen when we come out up here, even though I was number 39. We are asking for equity in parking in downtown Bayshore. You're requiring our citizens, businesses, and visitors to our hamlet to pay for the $700,000 parking system that we did not ask for. The parking system is not going into other hamlets, Main Street areas. I know the train station, but just Bayshore's downtown. The Main Street spots are half empty, and maybe Main Street's okay, but all the back lots we really need to talk about. I'm pleased that my husband's office sent someone here because that back parking lot behind, right near Salt and Barrel, is a huge problem. It's unsafe there late at night. Our members of the Summit Council, which represents over 20 different organizations within Bayshore, stand firm and request that the town take the time not to just listen, but to enact changes to see this imposed parking system benefit the residents and taxpayers who have come to see this parking fees as just another tax. And we want to make sure that the town that we have all put blood, sweat, and tears into bringing back continues to be successful. Thank you.
Lenny Chiraski's on deck.
Good afternoon, Richard Caputi, 31 Ocean Avenue, Bay Shore, New York. Thank you for having me here today. Pretty much everything was said with regards to the parking. It really is something that the town board needs to consider rescinding. It's atrocious. I live on 31 Ocean. I can walk to the town. I frequent all the restaurants and all the different businesses there. I speak to all the owners. It's hurting them all considerably. It wasn't that long ago. Back up just a second. I know the board, this board and your predecessors have done a great job to turn Bay Shore around from what it was 10 and 20 years ago. I really feel that the parking situation that you've instilled over here is going to reverse what you've accomplished. It should be rescinded. There have been a couple of people who have spoken about compromises, not on Sunday after 6 o'clock. The entire program should be taken away. Thank you. You have to figure out how a way in which to do this. I know, when Nassau County made the mistake with the red light tickets in front of the schools, it cost them a lot of money to rescind them. They understood and heard the people objecting to it. There's a battle cry here in this room, and you're only hearing from a small percentage of the people. I had to take off of work to get here specifically because I wanted to voice my opinion today and let you know that this is really a detriment to the wellness of Bay Shore. And you really have to figure out what you need to do. I'm sure somewhere along the line, some accountants, your accountants figured out $750,000, we're going to borrow the money, we got people to collect the coin, to issue the tickets, and we're going to make X amount of dollars 3 years or 4 years or 5 years from now. You have to figure out how to undo that and get this thing back on track again. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Lenny Chiraski. Lenny? Taylor Lally? Taylor Lally? Oh.
Hi, Taylor. I'm over at 4 4th Avenue in Bay Shore. I'm a small business owner. I saved pretty much all my pennies and took a risk and opened up in Bay Shore about 2 years ago. I do believe in the future of Bay Shore. I think it's a great town. Shows great promise. There's a lot of young business owners like myself investing in Bay Shore, and we're all working together to make this town better, to make it grow. We want it to work. Obviously, there's an issue with parking. There's an issue now, and we're not even in the full swing of summer yet. There's a couple of issues I have as a business owner who's investing in the future of this town. For example, a place like Salvatore's Pizza. There's pizza places everywhere. You can drive 2 miles in any direction. And why would I stop and pay for parking when I could go pretty much anywhere else and not have to pay? Another issue, which the girls from Salt and Barrel kind of brought up, is it's a security issue. Late at night, a girl going out for drinks or bartenders leaving late at night, you have to go park your car, find a spot, walk to the meter, walk back. Bay Shore's growing, but it's still a little shaky. And there's definitely a security issue, and that doesn't really sit right with me. Another issue, which someone else mentioned, was double paying. I could pull up, pay for 2 hours or an hour, leave after a half hour, someone else pulls in. It's not going to say that it's already paid for. They have to double pay again, so I don't really think that that's right. I kind of think that this program was launched prematurely, and literally overnight there was no parking, there was no meter parking, and then all of a sudden the next day there was meter parking. I try to stay up with everything that's going on. I think it's important as a young business owner to know what's going on in my town. I do a lot of my business online, so it doesn't really affect me, but it does because I'm investing in this town and I want it to be better than what it was. So I think you guys kind of have some work to do, and I just hope it gets better. I'm not fighting you guys. I think it's a decent program. You guys got to just work out the kinks, and I just don't think it's really fair right now. So thanks for your time.
Thank you, Taylor. Thank you for coming in. Sharon Savino. Eric Helling on deck.
Sharon Smino, 37 Orchard Drive, Bright Waters. Hello, and thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak. I'm here today to voice my support for the new animal shelter proposal.
I have something here that is a part of the shelter's history. Maybe you can't read it from here, but what it is actually the certificate and receipt from the first cat adoption that I had at the Aesop Animal Shelter. It's dated March 16, 1991. Elizabeth Gallagher was the commissioner, Frank Jones was the town supervisor, and the adoption fee was $3. We named that cat Lucky because that's what he was. He was lucky. He was scooped up by animal control, severely burned by what we believed was the car's exhaust. But it was 1991 and times were different. The shelter, while showing signs of age at that time, still had room for the injured, broken, less adoptable cats. Some nice person at the 1991 shelter had hope for Lucky and gave him a second chance. We were that second chance. And as my husband will still say, that adoption fee of $3 was the best $3 we ever spent. Aside from being a wonderful cat, Lucky got us through the tragic death of my worried 5-year-old brother. He also was a big comfort to us in the horrific days following 9/11. So when you see those stickers on cars saying, "Who rescued who?" that's what they mean. Over the years, we adopted other cats from the Islip shelter as well, and while the paperwork has been updated, the shelter has not. Every time I've been in that shelter over the past 26 years, it's like walking into a scene from Planet of the Apes. It's a time capsule. The structure is there, it's just crumbling and dilapidated. Nothing is new, nothing is fresh, nothing has changed. I don't think it's even had a fresh coat of paint since being built in 1964. The cages are now overcrowded and too small by humane standards. The animals are not able to get exercise, enabling depression, stress, and sickness in the animals. This makes them less adoptable. There is no proper confinement or quarantine room to properly assess the animals being brought in under abuse, neglect, and/or hoarding situations. This is dangerous for all concerned, animals and people. The floors are starting to sink, the walls are cracking so badly, daylight can be seen through those cracks from the inside. There's no sprinkler system, basically making the shelter a death trap for animals and staff should a fire break out. The current building is also located in a remote, almost hidden location, lacking convenient road access to the general public. I don't know about you, but I cannot live or work in an environment that hasn't had growth, updates, or improvements in the past 50 years. In the past 23 years I've been at my job, we've moved 3 times, expanded our workspaces, and updated our technology. This is what happens as times change. We grow and evolve to accommodate our changing needs. The shelter is no different. In 1964, we never even used the word hoarding. Now it is in the news almost daily, and unfortunately, it's not going away. You cannot expect the current shelter to handle this ever-growing problem and still take in daily surrenders. It's not possible.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Eric Helling.
Hi, thank you for the opportunity to speak. I'm Eric Helling from 1197 Brookdale Avenue, and I work at 5 3rd Avenue at Southside in Bayshore. And I just wanted to add my voice to the chorus of people that are speaking about the parking. It's definitely affected businesses. I hear business owners speaking about it, and I also see out the window in my place lines of people at the machines trying to figure out how the heck to work them. And I hear people walking by complaining about the customers, not just the business owners. The machines on Main Street make sense to me, but in the lots behind Main Street, it seems that that's a little bit of overkill and maybe unnecessary. People find the machines confusing, and the fact that they don't accept bills is also really a shocker to me. The free spaces in the town aren't distributed evenly. There's a great deal of free spaces at the west end of town, but at the east end of town there are very few. And then I wonder, the free parking, is that all going to disappear when people go to Fire Island? So all the employees that now, even though they're complaining about walking to find their free parking, is there even going to be any free parking if it's all taken up while people spend a week or two in Fire Island, or even during the long weekends? So it really creates a competitive disadvantage both within the town between businesses, and it hurts the town itself, or the hamlet itself relative to others. There are employee permits, but those are no guarantee of spaces, because those are paid spaces. Anybody can fill them up. So employees can buy their permit and then find that there are no spaces available to them. I think that's going to become a problem. When you go to look at the possible solutions, I'd just like to suggest a few if you're considering tweaks to the parking system. Leave perhaps the way the parking is on Main Street as it is, but then have the lots be free during the day. It's been one proposal. Have the fees kick in after 6 p.m. That seems like a good possibility. People have been a little bit confused by the different time slots, so you could possibly have a single rate for all the spaces. A lower rate, if you look at Babylon, for example, there are meters everywhere, but it's like a quarter an hour or something. And that you don't even think twice about paying. So why would I come to Bayshore when I can just go 5 minutes down the road to Babylon and enjoy that? The cheaper rates. Better distribution for the free parking, I think, would be a big help too. It is really there's a big difference if you look at the map of the free parking from one end of town to the other. The east end of town is really hit worse than the west end of town. And maybe have a 24-hour limit for the free parking so that people don't take it all up by going to Fire Island, or have a special lot for people that are going to Fire Island, perhaps a paid lot. So I just wanted to conclude my remarks, and thank you very much.
Thank you. Ricky Dimitriadis, I hope. Dimitriadis, Ricky? Oh, good. And on deck is Jean O'Connell.
Hi, my name is Ricky Dimitriadis. I own Blaze Hair Studio, 95 West Main Street, Bayshore. The parking is really affecting my business. My clients don't want to come. They don't want to pay for parking. My employees were hired as stylists, not people to be running out and putting quarters in the machines for these people. People are taking out their cards and trying to put them in the machines. Did you ever think that someone put a scanner on that machine? I mean, I've been asking for my parking meter to be moved every single month. I've been asking because it's right in front of my door. People come in asking how to use it and asking me all these questions about it, and that's not my job. I don't really have time to be helping everyone in town work the parking meter, and it literally sits right in front of my front door. It's so frustrating. And just like everyone else, my staff, like I'm 22, my staff are in their young 20s, and we're all girls, and no one's walking in the back to go park there, park for free, and they're not walking back there. I don't allow it. It's very unsafe. I don't know if you've been back there. It smells like drugs. There's needles everywhere. There's prostitution that goes back there, and there's all these homeless people. And it's not like easy to stomach all of that. And I'm not sending, a 5'1" girl back there when we close at 8 o'clock at night. It's just not fair, and I know they're scared, and it's not gonna happen. And you really need to redo these meters or just get rid of them because no one's even paying for them. I think I've seen that parking meter maybe twice since they've been up. Money's been collected from the patrol, people who are doing it, and you guys aren't even making money on it. So why don't you just put money into something else like getting rid of the homeless or, making the towns nicer? But this whole parking situation, you guys have it all wrong. It's really affecting a lot of our businesses. Like, who's running outside with hair color on their head? You guys like color your hair. You're not running outside with hair color on your head to go put money in the meter.
Give it away.
It's just not like rational. Maybe make an app on the phone where you could reload money safely from your credit card on your phone and you reload it into the machine. Because I see people that go put their cards in, and even if they're not coming to me, I don't allow them. I go to Citibank every week and I get quarters and quarters, and I save all my quarters to pay for my clients' parking because it hurts my business. And that's all I have to say. Thank you for listening.
Thank you. Jean O'Connell? Jean O'Connell? She had to leave, okay. There are no other cards. Motion to close the public portion.
I'd like to make that motion, but before I make that motion, I just want to say to the residents, especially all of you who took off of work to come here, I appreciate it. Sorry, Angie? I understand, and I want you to know that I can only speak for myself up here. This was a pilot program that we put forward, and when it was presented to all of you, it was presented as a pilot program that if it wasn't working, that we would change it. Like the gentleman said in Nassau County, when the red light camera program was not working, the elected officials pulled it. And so I hear you. I think it's time that change is made. I'm going to ask that my fellow board members join me in sitting down, making significant changes to this, or flat out pulling the program. Thank you.
There's a motion. Do I have a second? Motion is second. The public portion is closed. Councilman Flattering wishes to make a statement. Before you do, Councilman, to the point of making changes, it was abundantly clear from day one that this was a fluid program. And many people that came up made comments and mentioned Councilman Cochran. I have to tell you, no one has worked harder to address the concerns of the people that are affected, all of us are affected, than Councilman Cochran has. And to the person who raised the question about where was this board when this community was working to bring themselves back, where was this board? Well, most of this board wasn't here then, but I was the county legislator, and I worked very hard alongside Lorraine Lovegren, who was the president of the chamber before Donna Perricone was, and many, many other community members, including the Islip Town Councilman Brian Ferriggiari. And the town, the county, everyone pulls together. And yes, the efforts on behalf of the chamber, the Summit Council, the BID, every community group is absolutely incredible and laudable, but nobody does it alone. And this town board, every single member on this town board cares about every single community in this town and is committed to working together to make things better. And there have been many, many meetings, and there have been many suggestions that were offered today, and I know I took notes, and people are in the audience taking notes, and what you said is not falling on deaf ears, despite a comment that somebody made that we weren't listening. We are listening, and we care. I'm sorry, Steve, go ahead.
One, also to address the comment of where were we? I've been on the board 12 years. Prior to that, 10 years, I was actively civically involved in Bay Shore. I just want to try to, one, I also agree with Councilwoman Bergen in the sense is this is a pilot program. We always discuss this. And we'll make the changes and we'll have to figure it out over time. But to maybe clear up some misconceptions, starting with the Bay Shore Marina. It is free parking with a rec card. If you're a senior card, you can get a free card also. Handicap spots are free. If you went to other towns like Babylon as a non-resident, it's $20 to park at the Cedar Beach, $30 on weekends. At Bay Shore Marina, it's 25 cents an hour in the value lot. So again, it is free parking if you have your rec card, you're a town resident, and there's so many opportunities. Part of the reason was also decided down there is a larger demand down there, and sometimes in the busy holiday weekends you have hundreds of people that go into Fire Island, and it was not fair to the local taxpayers that they've taken prime spots, hurting the local businesses and restaurants down there. And the other issue was on the weekends when trailers were coming down with boats, traffic jams were going up to the YMCA and Montauk Highway. So there was a lot of little things were trying to be addressed, and it's still growing and figuring it out. It was just the first year. From that is the train station, started about a year ago. Again, some of the issues were we have certain weekends in the summer. We have thousands of cars from out of the area. This is a big marina town of Bay Shore. Where do these cars go? From that to the downtown that we're rolling out downtown, you have to, some of the members, take a look at the map. More than 60% of the spots are still free. It's the middle core area is where we have the meters in the back lot. And people that don't understand that is mostly it is close to the Maple area, 4th Avenue and Main Street going out. The outer edges are free. And again, Main Street looks empty to people? Yes, it does. Because part of the problem, and I'm not going to even say going to the Fire Island issue that we have to deal part of the year, is that many of the employees, shop owners, people that own different businesses, parked on Main Street in the closed spots 12 hours a day, and it clogged it out. The reason it looks empty now is because most of them are pushed to the outer edges, and that was the design. If they want to walk an extra 100 feet, there's even free spots where they don't have to. So a lot of these things can be addressed and amended, and improving these lots. This is just the second week in trying to figure this out, and we try to get it kicked off before the Memorial Day weekend when we have hundreds of other cars we have to deal with. Part of also what's happening in the area is in the last so many years, started actually back in 1976, Downtown Bayshore is a downtown development district. Back then, the approval was for up to 8-story tall buildings. In 2008, that was changed to 5 stories. But there's been a lot of buildings been improved over the years, which is giving a lot more of the foot traffic on the ground, helping these businesses over the years, all these apartments, which is happening in Bayshore more than any other community in the town of Islip. Just now, in the past 2 years, buildings that they were existing but being reinvested or tore down and rebuilt. In the last 2 years, over about 1,300 parking spots were needed. About less than 700, about 700 of the spaces were provided on the property. There's going to be about 650 more car spaces going to be needed just in the next year or so from properties. Besides using one example, and this one's I'm not even including in the list, is where Salt and Barrel came up as a discussion. A beautiful redone in that area in that corner, but the building needs 92 spaces. There's not one space for that property. So all this idea of this was really trying to manage the parking, understand about the fears in the back, but that's also the fears of our outside people coming in to use our restaurants. They don't want to also park in the back, and we're trying to improve those things. Part of the plan that John worked on is that we're getting cameras in some of the lots. At the Bayshore train station alone, a couple of cameras already have solved some crimes already that we have there. Those have been there for about a year. And the next step is we just got the bonding passed. There are going to be some of the capital improvements in the train station, such as parking lot improvements, curbing, landscaping, sprinklers, and that is going to happen later this year. But the first step was get the program started, and it's plenty of room to improve on it. All other healthy towns have some management of some parking, and again, more than 60% of the spaces are free in the downtown area. And I enjoy, and I think all members enjoy, the input because each business has a different scenario where it's good or bad. One other question came about a weekend on Sundays. It doesn't start until 1 o'clock. It does not affect the church. The concern, again, is, especially during the summer, as one example, is fire around, parking there all day long in front of the stores, and that's why the meters are started then. Again, those times and everything else could change over time. It's just in the first couple of weeks. And enjoy your input. And again, I know every member on the board would like to hear the input, and we'll make some adjustments. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman. We're going to the agenda. Item number 1, appropriation transfers. Any questions? Hearing none, motion. Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item number 2, the option year resolutions. Any questions? Hearing none, motion. Motion by Councilman Mullen, second by Councilman Flower. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item number 3 is an authorization for the supervisor to enter into a contract with Oxford Airport Technical Services, the lowest responsible bidder for maintenance and repair of the jet bridges at Long Island MacArthur Airport. Any questions? Hearing none, motion.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 4 is the authorization to clean up, secure, and demolish certain properties in the town of Islip. Taryn?
Good afternoon, Madam Supervisor, members of the Town Board, Town Clerk, Taryn Brzezinski, Assistant Town Attorney with the Town of Islip, 655 Main Street, Islip, New York. Number 1, to board up the pool located at 23 Wood Hollow Road, Great River. On this property, there now exists an unsecured in-ground swimming pool which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman
Second.
Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 2, to board and clean up the premises located at 218 Pinewood Avenue, Central Islip. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows, an unsecured detached garage door, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second
Second.
by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 3, to board and clean up the premises located at 312 Ocean Avenue, Brentwood. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Flymer. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 4, to board up the premises located at 451 Arizona Avenue, Bayshore. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists an unsecured door with evidence of squatters, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? I'll make the motion. Second? Second. Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 5, to board and clean up the premises located at 508 Jones Street, Ronkonkoma. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured doors, an unsecured shed, evidence of squatters, unregistered vehicles, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 6, to clean up the premises located at 901 Udall Road, West Islip. On this property, there now exists high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Hearing none, motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 7, to board and clean up the premises located at 974 Comac Road, Brentwood. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors with evidence of squatters, an unsecured shed, high grass, overgrown vegetation, and litter and debris, which constitutes a nuisance and presents a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Number 8, to board up the premises located at 1862 Verizon Avenue, Ronkonkoma. On this vacant and unsecured property, there now exists unsecured windows and doors, as well as holes in the soffit, vent, and siding of the house, which constitutes a fire, safety, and health hazard. Notice of this hearing was provided to all known persons with a property interest in this premises.
Any questions? Motion?
Motion to approve.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second. By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Next, we go to item 5, authorization for supervisor to execute any and all documents in order to effectuate the assumption of an existing note mortgage held by the town in connection with the sale of 24 Cortlandt Place, Bayshore. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second. Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is
I'll
approved.
recuse myself.
One recusal. Item number 6, meeting of the Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency. There, we have a motion to convene by Councilman Cochran, second by myself. There's a quorum being present. Bill?
Good afternoon, Madam Chair, members of the agency board. William Maddox, Executive Director, Town of Islip Industrial Development Agency, 40 Nassau Avenue, Islip. We have, thankfully, a short agenda for your consideration today. First item on the agenda is approval of the minutes of the meeting on April 25th.
I'll make that motion. Second? Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Next item on the agenda is an authorizing resolution for a project which you induced at our last meeting, Smart USA, a manufacturer of aluminum and plastic food containers that's moving from Queens to Fifth Avenue in Bayshore.
Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran. Second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
Next item on the agenda is a combination inducement authorizing resolution for high-low maintenance systems. You actually induced this project in a slightly different structure 2 meetings ago. They've come back to us, changed the structure of the deal, so we are doing a combination inducement authorizing resolution. High-low is a sales and service company in the business of providing forklifts and installations for industrial companies.
Any questions? Motion?
Make a motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved.
The last item on the agenda is a resolution authorizing a tenant agency compliance agreement between the agency and Mutual of Omaha Insurance Company, which is a tenant in the Hop Out Office Park located in Betts Highway and Hop Pond.
Any questions? I'll make that motion. Second?
Second.
Second by Council Mullen. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. No other business to come before us?
Make a motion to adjourn.
I'll accept that motion. Councilman Cochran to adjourn, second by Councilwoman Bergen. We are adjourned. I thank you. Item 8, Town Board, acceptance of a donation of a plaque to be placed on or close to the President's Dome Memorial at the Great River. Oh, I'm sorry. Item 7, authorization for the supervisor to sign any and all documents required to procure electronic vault transfer services through the New York State Office of General Service, contract with Key Merchant Services to process real property tax payments through a town website. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilwoman Bergen, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 8, Town Board acceptance of a donation of a plaque to be placed on or close to the President's Dome Memorial at the Great River Memorial Park. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Number 9, Town Board acceptance of a deed from Edward Frudenberg Sr. for a parcel of land at the southeasterly corner of Oliver Street and Alexander Avenue, Holbrook. Any questions? Motion? I'll make that motion. Second.
Second.
Second by Council Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 10, Town Board acceptance of a deed from Edward Frudenberg Sr. for a parcel of land at the southwesterly corner of Coates Avenue and Alexander Avenue, Holbrook. Same motion, same second. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 11 is special events. Quite a number of special events again. Lots of block parties. Looking for approvals already. It looks like it's going to be a really busy summer. Any
I'll make a
questions? Motion by Councilman Flatteren. Second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. We go to item 12, authorization with town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider the transfer of the properties located at 27 Booth Street in Central Islip and 943 Nemeth Street in Bohemia under the CDA's direct sale program. Any questions? Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 13 is an authorization for the supervisor to enter into a contract with Banker Construction Corp., the lowest responsible bidder for DBW 5 2016, Oakdale West Sable backflow prevention check valves for storm drainage systems. This project is fully funded by the Governor's Office of Storm Recovery. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second by Councilman Fodder, and all those in favor.
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Item 14, authorization for the supervisor to exercise the options to renew DPW 1/2014 installation and maintenance of streetlights with Wells Back Electric Corp. of Long Island for the first one-year extension period to July 16, 2018. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Next item, authorization for supervisor to enter into a memorandum of understanding with the County of Suffolk to provide for the town's participation in the work experience programs of the Suffolk Works Employment Program and SWEP Program and the Youth Program funded by the Workforce Investment Act at no cost to the town of Islip. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman
Second.
Mullen, second by Councilman Flatteren. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? It is approved. Item 16, authorization for the supervisor to enter into an agreement with the Baywalk Cafe to provide lunch for the campers and counselors of the Patricia Ann Mooney Beach Camp at Atlantique. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 17 is an authorization with the supervisor to execute an agreement with Race is Awesome and co-sponsor the event Try by the Bay at the East Islip Marina on June 3rd, 2017, by providing town lifeguard personnel to ensure the safety of race participants. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Mullen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Next, we go to item 19, an authorization with the supervisor to enter into an agreement with Southside Hospital, a member of the Northwell Health, Inc., to provide medical direction and other essential services related to the town public access defibrillation program. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Bergen, second.
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. 20.
Madam Supervisor,
Yes.
you have to do item 18.
Skipped it.
I did item 18.
No, we did 18. Didn't,
No, we didn't do the.
No, we didn't do item 18.
You know what we didn't do? We didn't do,
We did 17.
oh, we did 17, but we didn't do 18? Okay.
We skipped the 19.
right,
They are very similar.
okay. So we did 19 just now, correct?
Yes.
All right, so we will go to 18, an authorization for the supervisor to execute an agreement with Race is Awesome to co-sponsor and provide services in relation to the Northwell Health Great South Bay Run at the Bay Shore Marina on September 23rd. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion? Motion by Councilman Flatteren, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Thank you, Madam Clerk. Next, we go to item 20, an authorization for the supervisor to enter into various agreements for programs or events to be held throughout the town to be funded by either registration fees or grant funds. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullins, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Next is the adoption of a home rule resolution supporting New York State Senate Health Bill S5305A and New York Assembly Bill A7064B, authorizing the town to discontinue use as parkland and alienate certain real property in Central Islip and dedicate replacement lands for use as parkland for public park purposes. Any questions? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Flatteren, second. By Councilman Mullen. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 22 is board approval of the Suffolk County Water Authority subleasing the Brentwood Water District tanks located at Carroll Street to New Singular Wireless, PCS LLC, for cellular antenna installation and operation. Any questions?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Cochran, second.
Second.
Second by Councilman Flatteren. All those in favor? We have 4 in favor, 1 abstention. Next, we go to item 23, an authorization with the supervisor to enter into a contract with Stang Carting for the provision of solid waste services within the Fair Harbor District on Fire Island. Any questions?
Motion.
Hearing none. Motion by Councilwoman
Second.
Bergen, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. Next item is an authorization for the supervisor to enter into a contract with Stang Carting for the provision of solid waste services for the Atlantique Beach Marina Facility on Fire Island. Same motion, same second. All in favor? All in favor?
All in favor.
Okay. Opposed? None. Item 24 is approved. And we go to 25, which is an authorization for the supervisor to execute any and all permit applications or other required documentation for the New York State Department of Transportation for the improvement and expansion of the soccer fields on New York State DOT property adjacent to Casamento Park in West Islip. Any questions? Motion by Councilman Cochran, second by Councilman Flatteren. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Item 26, an authorization for the town clerk to advertise for a public hearing to consider amending various sections of the Islip Town Code, Chapter 68 zoning. I'll make that motion. A second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Bergen. All those in favor? Opposed? Is approved. 27 is the final item on the agenda, an authorization for the supervisor to apply for and accept grant funding from the New York State Regional Economic Development Council for the Downtown Revitalization Initiative Round 2. Any questions on this? Hearing none. Motion?
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Mullins, second by Councilman Cochran. All those in favor? Opposed? It is approved. Since there is no other business to come before the town board at this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn by Councilman Flatteren, second